buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to all for you guys' words, your prayers, and just everything in general. From the Cora do know that I appreciate every one of you. And before I get into the story on hand, do allow me to, put a little enlightenment on things with me. I know I just been posting that I would have been out in the hospital, and so I would hate to just put something out and not follow through with it, right? But anyways, since last Thursday live, you guys know how I got. Unfortunately it happened behind the camera, right? Conversating with everybody. But anyways, from there I ended up in the hospital, and it's my head. I remember I mentioned to everyone that God would always show you the answer without you requesting, just by asking, understanding, right? Well, you guys seen how my head's been acting, right? To the point where I'm just one moment okay, the next minute, boom, I'm completely out, right? And other factors come into play, which the biggest thing I've been struggling with this couple of days been my breathing, right? In general, you guys know my condition. It just hasn't been too great, right? Been in the hospital, and yesterday when I did that short, right, I drove. I've been doing it ever since they tried to pick up my niece from doing me the favor to go with me. I've just been writing it out alone, right? And well, one of the things I have forbidden to do is drive, right? Not for me, I ain't worth anything, but for the people around, right? Because you guys see what happens, and that's exactly what happened. I was driving into Culiacan to get to that meeting, and I just started feeling I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe, and before I pulled over, I was out. I guess I hit the gas, and the only thing that at least materialized that I could say was mine was that truck, right? Which in reality ain't nothing. I'm glad I wasn't able to hurt nobody, right? But the truck is gone. And anyways, Familia took care of the pedos there, but regardless, I was in the hospital bad. They had me doing CAT scans and X-rays and X6 things to try to figure out what's going on. Overall, little by little, I started coming back. So again, God's amazing, right? But just to update everybody, when you have faith, you gotta have faith fully, which I do. I've been real bad, right? And it ain't the time period. Cause they wanted me to go ahead with this head surgeries because they figured it was the best time, right? Cause I remember I had not landed in the hospital for a little bit, right? I was able to maintain, but that changed. And while I was out there, I just happened to try to, when her niece went, have her go check on things, and I won't let things fall when they fall, but I want to keep my palabra with everyone. So, I got the surgery date already. It's for the 14th. for obvious reasons, I'm not supposed to be in Guadalajara, Jalisco, whatever, for my actions, right? So I'm not gonna state which one of the three main hospitals, but regardless, it's gonna happen this coming week. Do I know what's gonna happen? No. Am I gonna go in there and face it full force like I've always done everything? Of course. Especially now, I'm so grateful for so many things that it'll be a disrespect for me to sidetrack and back out, right? Which I'm not gonna do, cause just to be friends and confidence, right? The way things are with me right now, it just ain't living, right? I come on here and I hee ha ha ha, cause I still hold that ego, right? So I tend to hide behind that, and well, you guys get it. Regardless, I just wanted to inform everybody that next coming week I'm gonna go in, hopefully, to get these surgeries done. Well, that's what it's for, right? So we'll see what happens. And with this, I'm not minimizing things as I started when I came on here, right? I'm still willing to carry my cross, believe me, whatever it ends up in, right? I do understand that I wasn't a priest, right? So I'm more than willing to at least show some willingness to accept things, right? However they come. But again, I just wanted to inform everybody, and regardless, thank you everybody for everything. And I'm not good with words, so I hope everybody understands where I'm coming from. But anyways, let's get to what the channel's for, right? I know I sidetracked it from my story and I didn't complete it, but pretty much you guys know my start, my middle, and my end, right? Which, of course, I have faith, so I have everything against me, but God's been amazing, so I want to keep having faith that His will is for the message to keep going, right? And if not, the message is out there. But for today, I want to tell a quick story about basically a real good politicker, right? I was unable to find a picture of him, which is the Billy Wizard from Florencia. And I kind of want to tell a story on how, ever since he was tabla selling up in Pelican Bay, he was real good to manipulate things, right? Now, with this, don't get me wrong, he's a good señor in the sense that he tries, it's just, he's good when he sees something hitting the fence to ricochet the trancazos to different angles, right? If you guys get it. And in this case, I want to talk about him. And this is right before a circle around that he had been made, right? Blessed. He was already doing things with a couple Billies from South LA, right? As Paul Boy. He was working hand in hand at this time with Topo in the feds. He was also in touch with Fox. In reality, Fox and him, they had uh they had the same stilo, right? They were more in the ambiente of down here. But anyways, him, Woody, Old man from Watts. You guys get it, in the South area, right? I believe Flaco from Southgate. Just, but, takes a real smart individual, for example, when it comes to tablas, Pavo at this time, they had a lot of jugo, right? Even though up there, Babo was more into the mix, right? But regardless, he was picking up a lot from tablas, being a celly, and of course being the one that puts pen and paper together for tablas. So he learned how to drive, right? Zigzag around certain situations. So, and this kind of occurred when there were still cellies, right? He had just been made. I believe the reason behind it was he was gonna get out, and Tablas and Babo figured they were lifers, so they're gonna have a young buck out there that was loyal to them, right? Per se, cause it was real well known that once he got made, he started favoritis when it came to Popeye, right? From Harpies, there were certain issues when it came to, well, just to be sincere, Tablas, Babo, and even Flux. They were jealous of Danny, right? And basically, they wanted to. They were pinpointing all the mistakes Popoy had been doing with camaradas, with conversations with Huda when it wasn't even like that. It was just, but you guys know how it is inside, You converse with Hudas to put him in your pockets, right? My business, basically, but, it's just small things get utilized in Snake World, right? So, anyways, behind the scenes, Wizard started, of course, telling Popeye to at least give Popeye a heads up to start putting them barriers, right, of the fence. Because I really do believe that from 2013, 14, 15, Popeye was more on the defense, right, from people wanting his reach. And of course, he didn't help himself, you know. But nevertheless, Whistler was real smart because he knew he was going to get out. And of course, he knew while he was going to be in Florencia, it was going to be an uphill battle with really being the main cat, right? When there's the so-called Tres Reyes already there, right? And he should fall underneath them. But, things did not plan out like that, right? He got out and he did his things, One thing you gotta give it to this man, he had a lot of reach when it came to out here to Sinaloa. He was well liked. Used to work, and I'm not gonna I'm not even gonna say it. I'm just gonna say he was real loyal to down here, right? To who he was working with, and at the same time, he was taking care of a little bit here, a little bit there in his neighborhood, and asking Harpies, asking South Los, Compton for Woody, and just that area in general, right? And they always saw just a smokescreen, as they attempt to do, right? And I'm just going to touch on one camarada from Florencia that supported him. There was many, but for obvious reasons, my mind in there with the names, right? But I want to talk about Chino. Chino was a camarada that was out there in C. Forgot if it was C2 or. Anyways, he was up there in the seaside, right? And Chino was one of many that seemed that Wizard was gonna eventually receive a lot more wiggle room when it came to power, right, in this neighborhood. Well, that was a thought, and I think so, but everybody will have their opinion. So he started being loyal to the fullest to Wizard, which is one mistake that I did to the fullest, right, which was we attempt to go through our career minimizing the actions that are being done towards camaradas here and there. You know, we lie to ourselves, we fool ourselves, and we keep making ourselves push forward for what ain't there, right? Which is a causa that becomes chasing the gatos politics, right? That circles around nothing but dope and power. All that sureño, campulero, raza, this, that might be true, right? When you're out in your neighborhood, writing for those you grew up with and having those beliefs that once you hit the system, va a ser de un modo de otro, but it's a camarada eat world, right? So with that, Wizard got out, as you guys know, and Chino eventually hit the streets too, and that strengthened their relationship. The problem started uprising way before Topo Garcia got out, right? You see the consequences that surface, and you hear a lot of myths and tales about, oh, it was tablas, or it was this. It had nothing to do with tablas. It was a misunderstanding that started when Wizard was on the streets and Topo was still in the feds, right? And as Wizard entered the feds after, that big sweep in Florencia, Topo basically peló him, yeah, somos cuatro, pero ya eres feds. And Windsor by the time had gotten ground to stand on, right? Backbone, you could say a little bit. And he said he didn't think like that. And Topo didn't like it, of course, Topo felt on his share, right? For not just Florencia, but for the organization. And the head bomb started. Anyways, an incident happened in a casita, a Florencia control, I think in Bell. And Chino was there as bad. There's others, right? Probably like, I'd say like 8 camaradas from Florencia that were under Wizard when this happened. And they were the ones that they follow orders, right? So when push came to shove, there's already certain issues happening, right? Things had started circling with Pop Boy. Things started coming out to flow with Wizard and him, and basically the angle he was taking ever since he was held up with tablas. So when push came to shove, Topo got out, and he got out tough. A lot of people talk about all this nonsense, really, right? But he got out and basically told him with Wizard, como aquí que. I don't know what they're talking about. Yo estoy acá, and I'm taking care of the angles, the avenues over here, the pipelines. So they're just trying to see fit to get in the wiggle. So, anyways, as always, and the medicals from being a camarada to learning how to politic to wanting that power to start backstabbing each other. And the ones that are going to take the fall are the loyals who don't question things, which was the case, right? Again, I'm specifically speaking about Chino, as I can't put the other names together, but regardless, like I said, it was from 6 to 8, but to make sure they were dealt with as liars, as backstabbers, using names under false pretense, and then Whistler came with supposedly the support of Popeye, and when things hit the fence, he backed out. He wasn't on the streets no more. So he allowed his own mentor and, you guys Spy and others, and Topo mainly, to take control of that area, right? By politicking against him for many reasons, right? I could sit here and tell you it was this, but nobody really knows what it was. It's, throughout the years, a lot of things piled up on Popeye. So I guess what broke the camel's back was him feeling he was more powerful to the point to defending a camarada over a carnal, right? Which at the end of the day is maybe for anything, right? Specifically, sureños, campoleros, camaradas. And that was the last straw for them to actually, move on him, as you guys know. But anyways, what I wanted to pinpoint on this is loyalty, right? Be careful with where your loyalty's at. As always, I'm not on here to tell you to winning out in any way, shape, or form, but be smart with it. Of course, when things call on you, vámonos. Don't be that loyal soldado that my own self used to be, which was, they didn't even call my name, y aquí estoy, darle a darle, para servirle, dispuesto. You know, basically just be part of the causa, not try to be the causa. If you guys get what I'm trying to say, specifically with those that, as Whistler, right, without staining his name, he had his agendas and he got out and he got into Camarada's heads, of course, that was their big homie, with them, literally doing footwork with them, right? Opening pipelines, of course. There's gonna be a belief, a trust there, as in many different scenarios, right? But when push comes to shove, they're smart enough to always save their skin, cause they don't use them tecatos, beliefs, thoughts, being an active addict or not, they're still there. So just be wise, be smart, stay loyal to those that believe me. There's gonna come a time where you're gonna see it more clear than water. That they'll be there when everybody that you got, it's part of I think it's part of the movement, right? There's just If you're not just there representing, putting yourself in this position, you try to expand a little bit, there's always going to be those stomping you down. Just remember that and stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Please do excuse if I'm not myself today. And if I hugged your ear with everything, I love everybody. Muy buenas noches.